you had front row seats to watching what Richie McCaw did at that tournament. Moonboot on during the week, got himself up and played. Like, was that must have been just incredible to witness, the strength of the man.
Yeah, there could not have been a more difficult set of scenarios for us than that tournament, I reckon. So there's the Richie thing, clearly. Now, that's superhuman, isn't it? I don't know anyone else who could have done that because he was in pain. You know, it wasn't just to protect his foot, he was in pain as well. And to get that thing off, train Thursday, play Saturday, back in the moonboot Sunday, and still play like he did, I think is just phenomenal. And then, of course, we had the DC injury before the Canada game. I'll never forget that because I'd taken over as kicking coach because Mick Byrne was with Japan, and so after the final training, DC decided he wanted a few kicks, and he shanked the first one. So I'm behind the post, and he shanked. I've never seen him shank a kick in his life. Yeah. And then he shanked the second one. I thought, this is a bit strange. And then the third one, bang, he went down with that ripped groin. At the start, I wondered if he was having me on. And I sort of looked at him, and then I saw Conrad Smith go over and look down and go, oh, like that. And yeah, it was like that, just that feeling at that time was devastating. So we go into the changing rooms, and Ted picked everyone up. He stood up in front of the group and he said, boys, we're going to win the World Cup. Nothing's going to change. Look, we all know how big a part of it Daniel is, but he's going to stay a part of it. But we're going to win the World Cup. And it just created a real positive us against them attitude. And then there are other things took place, you know.
That happens publicly when you're talking to the team. Privately, as the coaching group getting together and going, fucking hell, what are we going to do here? Like, are you starting to think straight away as soon as you realise he's out? Okay. Like, is that your job?
Well, I can tell you about the next coaching meeting we had. It's been well documented, but we're sitting there wondering who we can bring in. You know, so DC's out. We've got Colin Slade out now. We've got Cruden come in. But who are we gonna bring in? We thought of every first five in the country, and they're all either overseas or injured. And then Mills Molaina passed by the door, and Ted ran out and said, "Millsy, is Beaver in Bath yet, or is he still in the country?" And Mills said, "Oh, I'll find out, Ted." So he rang Beaver's girlfriend, couldn't get hold of Beaver, who got hold of Stephen, and then he rang, and we're in the middle of the meeting, and so he rings Ted, and Ted goes, "Oh, what are you doing, Beaver?" And he said, "Oh, I'm whitebaiting, you know, down the Waikato." And so, you caught much, Beaver? And he goes, "Yeah, got a couple of pound, Ted." And Ted said, "That's a shitload of whitebait, Beaver." He said, "If you bring that to room 424 at the Heritage, you can play in the World Cup final." That's how it happened.
Incredible story. They should make a movie out of it.
Yeah. So, yeah, they were difficult times. We had that incident. We hiccup with Cory Jane and
Izzy, eh?
Izzy. And, you know, Mills had been capped 100 games, one of the greatest players I've ever coached, Mills Molaina. And he was injured, got injured, so we needed those two to be at their best. And I'll never forget this, because neither of they're smart guys. They were heroes of that World Cup. Played brilliantly. I thought those two and Richie Kahui for 3 weeks were probably the best players in the world. But they needed to do something. You know, Cory Jane and Israel Dagg to make up for an evening out. And instead of apologise to the team, I still remember this, Cory Jane was playing in the quarterfinal. Izzy had an injury, so he couldn't play. But Cory got up in front of the team, didn't apologise. He said, I'm going to get player of the match in the quarterfinal. Yeah, you can't do better than that. And that's what he did, and that's what he got. And Izzy did the same for the semi-final. I'm going to be the best player on the field in the semi-final, which he was. And you just look back and think, you know, apologies and that to teams are, you know, not that sincere. You go out and make a statement like that and you do it, that means a lot to the team. So they're all pinnacle events in us winning that. There's a lot of adversity in that campaign, but yeah, there's a lot of desire as well.